Hey, net builders, thanks for joining us for another great episode. If you are thinking about the real estate, um, getting into the real estate business, or you just have questions about real estate, or if you're wondering how real estate and how the housing market is looking post COVID, and I guess you could say we're still a little bit into it, but mostly post COVID, this is the episode that you were looking for right here. I had a lot of people asking me to do an episode like this, and we finally found the real estate guru, Lambros Demos, and he is going to give us the most value in the world on this topic. So stay tuned and let's get into it. Hey, net builders, welcome to episode 2, season 3 of Net Builders. And you guys kept asking for it, kept telling me I need to do it, and here it is. We have Lambros Demos. Say it right?
Demos, yeah, that's good.
Yes. And we are going to talk about some real estate matters here. I know, right? Finally. All right. So, I'm going to leave the floor over to you. You can give us a brief introduction and we'll get right into it.
Certainly. Thank you very much, RJ. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for inviting me onto your program. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Lambros Demos, and I am a real estate broker in Mississauga, Ontario. Mississauga is just outside the Toronto area in Canada. And as I said, I'm a real estate broker, so I help people navigate through the noise and frenzy of the current crazy real estate market. I think it's crazy everywhere in North America, maybe in other places as well. But up here in Toronto, it's been really nuts this year, especially. I position my clients so they can win every time they buy or sell a property. Right. I'm all about education and empowering my clients so they can make the right decision.
Outstanding. Outstanding. I love those core values that you hold there. I love that that's in your introduction because, you know, licensed professionals, life insurance lawyers, stuff like people, we don't have, I'm a life insurance agent. So
Okay.
we don't have the, I guess, best reputation. People always look at us, oh, they just want our money, stuff like that. So I love the fact that you present those core values right out the gate.
Yeah, no, you make a great point. Real estate agents as well, they're not perceived well by the general public. And that was a shock to me, actually, when I first got my license, because my mother was in real estate. So I always saw real estate as a quality profession, as a good profession, as someone who's helping people, right? So after I got my license and then dove into the real estate market myself, I figured out that people have a bad view of real estate agents. I think we were ranked somewhere between snake oil salesman and used car salesman or something like that, right? So as you can imagine, it was like quite a shock. I'm like, what's going on here? Why don't people trust real estate agents? I love my mom. I loved helping her when she was in real estate. All we want to do is help people buy a house or sell a house, right? What's going on here? So yeah, like I said, it was a bit naive going in, but I've adjusted, and that's why I make it a point to help people. I'm all about providing value, education, and let people make the best decision that they can. And because um, I'm not a gatekeeper of knowledge, I'm a sharer of knowledge, right? So I want to put that knowledge out there so clients can make the right decision each and every time.
I think that's a huge difference right there, and that's probably the reason why there's been such clout around it, or people have had negative attitudes toward real estate agents is because of the lack of education.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that you educate them,
Yeah.
because let's face it, I was promised this and this is what happened. Well, you should have read the fine print. But a person like you who sits there and says, hey,
Yeah.
let's not make it fine print. Let's make it
No,
big bold letters. Let me
absolutely.
educate you on this.
Yeah. Everything up front. I go through each and every line of the contract that they sign, if they want to. Sometimes they'll tell me, "Oh, don't bother. Well, we've been through this." And in that case, I would just highlight the important points and say, "Okay, just as long as you're aware that this can happen or that can happen, right?" I try to have everything transparent, right? So that there's no surprises.
Outstanding, outstanding. I think that's a great practice. I think that's a great practice.
Thank you.
So out here, we've been affected by COVID. And like you said, all of North America is crazy right now. How has COVID affected Canada? Like how is that?
It's funny because when COVID first hit, I think it was March of 2020, we were off to a great start in 2020. January and February were record months. And then March got off to a great start. And then all of a sudden, everything shut down. The first shock to me was when the NBA shut down. And because my friend was telling me, "Oh, they're going to cancel the NBA season." I'm like, "You're out of your mind. They'll never do that." And next thing you know, boom, it's canceled. Then the NHL was canceled and all the sports leagues were canceled. Like, what's going on here? This is nuts. I've never, in my 50 plus years, I've never seen anything like this before. Right. And then obviously the real estate market took a step back. Right. And we kind of paused. It was like everything came to a standstill. And everyone's been thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be insane. Prices are going to go down. No one's going to sell, blah, blah, blah." But prices did not come down. They kind of just stood where they were. Sales went down. I think sales went down about 80 to 90%, something like that. So we had a dearth of sales in the rest of March and most of April as well. It wasn't until May that things started picking up again. And boy, did they ever pick up. In June, July, we started setting record sales again for August, September, throughout the rest of the year. And in early 2021, even another shocker happened, like prices skyrocketed. And I think it has to do with a lack of supply, because when supply is really low and demand is still high, well, guess what's going to happen to prices, right? So they're all going to skyrocket. We saw increases of up to 33% year over year, which is like just a mind-boggling number and obviously not sustainable. And then about April of this year, things kind of plateaued, right? Prices did not come down again. Everybody was saying, "Well, what goes up must come down." They did not come down. Sales kind of slowed down a little bit and prices plateaued. And now since September, things have started going back up again. So I don't know how high they can go. Nobody knows that. All I know is that there's very low supply and still high demand to get into this market. And a lot of that has to do with COVID is part of it, because some people don't want to sell their homes. They're not comfortable with people coming in. COVID has also hit the retirement residences quite hard, right? Senior living. That's where a lot of the stats, people dying from COVID have affected, and that's inflated the stats there. So the seniors were, before COVID, they used to sell their homes and move into a retirement residence. Now they don't want to do that because they're scared. So they're staying home. They're renovating their house so they can accommodate themselves in their home, and they're staying put, right? So when you take out that level of supply from the seniors, it trickles down, right? So now there's no bungalows available, or there's no large homes available for the move-up buyers. And if there's no move-up buyers can't move up, then the first-time buyers can't get into the market either, right? So that's what's causing all this lack of supply, or part of it anyway.
That makes sense. That definitely makes sense. Did you see a big migration at all, like from huge city areas to?
Yes.
I want more space,
Yeah, 100%. Another great point. We saw an exodus. Toronto is like a small New York, right? We've got office buildings downtown. We've got it's all crazy downtown. Round the clock living, shopping, entertainment, everything, right? We have our own little mini Broadway district down there as well. But when COVID hit and everything shut down, nobody wanted to live downtown, and people were working from home now. And they're saying, well, if I can work from home, why do I have to live downtown? I can move, an hour away, 2 hours away, 3 hours away, and find a bigger house, find a nice lot, so I can have some dogs running around, some kids, whatever I want, right? And I don't have to live in the city, in the smog and in the noise and all that stuff, right? So
Definitely.
and we did see an exodus, and condos really got hit hard by COVID, whereas all the detached homes, the larger homes, the single family residences, they all went up. Condos for about 6 months took a hit, but now they're coming back because people are starting to come back. Things are opening up again, right? We're one of the last areas to open up. I think in the US, I'm not sure where you're located.
I'm in Seattle.
Which one?
Seattle.
Oh, Seattle. Okay, Seattle. So, and when did you open up post-COVID? Or you've been open for a while now, I guess?
Yeah. We've been open for quite a while now, a couple of months now. Yeah.
We still have restrictions.
Wow.
As late as I think it was July or August, things were shut down. You couldn't go to a restaurant, right? So yeah, I mean, there was takeout or drive-through, but you couldn't sit inside. Now it's only been maybe a couple months that we were able to go into restaurants, and even then, there's limited capacity. I think it's about 25% capacity, right? So it's crazy. It's crazy that we're still in the process of opening up here.
Yeah. How would you? All right, so I guess this is a two-part question. 2008, ring a bell?
Yes, the financial crisis.
How does this pandemic, how does it stand up or stack up to now? You know what's happened now, because this was unexpected. I don't know anything about this before it happened, or you had a tip off to it or anything, but
not at all. Not at all.
So I'm where you were when someone said, "Hey, the NFL season, you can't go to any games this year," and I was like, you're lying. Look, people on social media and they're just posting stuff. Don't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And then it shut down, and I said, "What is going on?"
Yeah. So, exactly.
So there was no warning to it. You know, there were kind of signs in 2008 to where, you know, tiny little signs like, "Hey, this doesn't seem right. This can't go well." And then boom, it hit. You know, there were little tiny signs. This one had none. So how do you think it's stacked up? Like, what do you think our recovery is gonna look like?
Well, like I said, I mean, our market only paused for a couple months. So we've more than recovered right now. We're actually surpassed our 2020 record numbers. 2021 has been a record year with respect to real estate sales and home prices. So it's totally different. It's night and day from what happened in 2008. In 2008, the market sank a little bit. I think we weren't, and knock on wood, we weren't hit as hard as the US was here in Canada. Because, I mean, no offense, but the US mortgage market, they were giving away mortgages like, you know, candy at Halloween, right? You know, I said, okay, you know, the way they used to test somebody for a mortgage is they put up a mirror up to your mouth and see if you're breathing, right? Okay, you got a mortgage. You know?
It was horrible. It was horrible.
It was horrible. So, yeah. So that, at least up here in Canada, we're a little more prudent when it comes to giving out mortgages. You have to qualify. And now the qualification process is even higher. We have something called a stress test, right? So even though mortgage rates are as low as ever, like you can get a 1.5% mortgage, which is ridiculous, right? Free money. But you have to qualify at about 5.25%. So if you qualify 5.25%, you can easily pay that 1.5%. And even if mortgage rates go up a full percentage points or 2 percentage points, you're still good because you've already qualified at 5.25%, right? So we have that kind of regulation in place to prevent people from defaulting on mortgages, and our default rate is less than 0.25%, right? So yeah. So that's the main difference between US and Canada. Is up here, they really make sure that people don't default on mortgages. There's hardly any foreclosures. You rarely see that up here. Yeah.
Wow, that's a huge big
big thing.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, now
makes it harder to get into the market though, but you know, once you're in, you're in.
Well, I mean, that does make sense though, because a lot of people here, and I still see it's a trend. It's like they're in a rush to buy a house. Success means purchasing a house.
Sure.
They have no assets to back it up or anything like that. So you know, it's like, yeah, I got a house finally, when they don't realize how can I sustain it? How can I maintain it?
That's right.
Realize the extra, what do you call them? The extra expenses that come with it, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And they don't budget for it. They don't, you know, plan for it. And then they lose their house, and they were worried about an eviction before. Well, try dealing with a foreclosure.
Exactly. You know, wow. No, I hear you. Yeah. So it's up here. I mean, it's tough sometimes, right? Because, and especially tough for self-employed people, uh, because now they want to see regular income coming in, right? So we got to go through so many checks and balances before we even get approved for mortgages up here. So it's a little tough getting in.
Okay. I ask you a question I don't think you get asked a lot.
What's that?
The mindset of a person who wants to buy a house. Like, if you've been a renter your whole life and you're going to buy a house, what mindset shift must happen in order for you to be a successful home buyer and keep that house?
Interesting. That is, you're right. I've never been asked that question. So, but it's a great question. I do like it. It's funny, you know, a couple of years ago before COVID, there was all this debate. Should I rent? Should I buy? And then you had the pro rent side, and then you had the pro buying side. I was always a pro buying side. Like I said, my mom was in real estate. I always had an appreciation for real estate. So I always wanted to own property. But then, so to talk to somebody who says, oh no, don't buy a house, it's not a commodity, put your money somewhere else in the stock market, et cetera. There's so many other places you can put it. Well, that debate has kind of been put to rest now because of the appreciation of home values right now. So, and those who are on the outside looking in may never be able to get into the market. So I think there's a bit of a desperation of people who missed out. Are you familiar with the term FOMO, fear of missing out, right? I think FOMO, I think that sparked a lot of the demand. You know, I mentioned a few minutes ago that the demand was high and supply was low. Well, there's that fear of missing out because people keep seeing home prices going up and up and up and up and up, and there's no ceiling to that. And, you know, so they're saying, man, I got to get in now before I can never get in. And I've got clients of mine and people that I talk to, people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, they're saying, well, how are my kids going to get into the market? You know, my kids are in high school right now. By the time they graduate, college or university, and then they get married, they want to buy a house. Will a house be worth $3 million or $2 million? Like, how are they going to afford that? How are they going to get into this market? You know, the average cost right now for a home is 1.3 million in Toronto, right? Just for an average home, right? So it's insane. So there's that FOMO mentality, fear of missing out for renters, and there's a lot of help from mom and dad, and if people don't have resources like that, because mom and dad can tap into the equity of their home, all of a sudden, let's say they bought a house 10 years ago, and it only cost them, $300,000 at that point. Home prices have now tripled at least, right? Sometimes in some cases have quadrupled, right? So they can tap into that equity if they haven't, refinanced or anything. They still have a ton of equity in their house, and they can gift some of that to their children. I think there was a study done that the average gift of a parent to a child in order to buy a house was in excess of $100,000. That's quite a large gift, right? So be good to your parents. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah, that's a huge gift. I didn't even know that was possible, but wow.
Yeah, we allow that up here, right? So as long as they can, there's a paper trail and they can track where that money came from, then they'll allow it, right? Because they go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. And you asked about how COVID has affected up here. The mortgage qualifying has been delayed now with COVID. Where it used to take a day or two, now it's taking a week, in some cases a week and a half, et cetera, because they have to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. They have to track every single dollar, where it came from, et cetera, because worries about money laundering and all this stuff. And, there's just so much that they go through, and short staffing as well. With COVID, a lot of mortgage companies and lenders have let staff go, right? And now that the market's picking up again, they can't find quality people to work on these deals, right? So there's a stack of applications for mortgages sitting there, and so it's slowing things down. It's slowing things right down.
Gotcha. All right. So COVID, thank you for answering that question.
Oh, no problem. I probably rambled on too long. I'm not sure if I answered it or not.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. Because you actually answered a couple other questions that went in my head too in the process.
Okay, great.
I think that's outstanding. So this, I know I'm talking about COVID a lot and everything, but I promise I'll get off of it.
That's all right. It's all good. World we live in, right?
Yeah, exactly. COVID is it's affected a lot of people, not just in housing and everything, but also the security of their employment. I've seen a spike in entrepreneurism across the board. That's actually what prompted me to create the Net Builders platform, to kind of help guide them through it, and for them to be able to learn from experienced professionals as yourself.
Thank you.
So you have a lot of people now that I talk to who are like, I want to go into real estate. So yeah. What would be your advice to them, especially mindset? I'm a big person that likes to talk about mindset, because a lot of people want to do, and the first thing that has to be done before you take action is developing a mindset. And
absolutely. I hear what you're saying, and our industry appears to be easy, and it's easy money, and you can work whenever you want, etc. But nothing could be further from the truth. We have about, I think at last count, there's approximately 63,000 agents in the Toronto area alone, right? And when you consider the population is just over 6 million, I'm not sure what if you do the math there, it's not that many. It's maybe 100 or 1,000 people per agent, and that includes kids. So if you say the average family of 3 or 4, that reduces the households down significantly, right? And then when you consider that half of those 63,000 agents only do 1 deal or less a year, it's a hard industry to get into. Only, I think, the top 2% or 2.5% do more than 10 deals a year, right? So if you're considering, or someone's considering getting into real estate, it's not an easy profession, not at all. You have to work your butt off, and because where are your clients going to come from? People think, oh, I'll just get my license and all of a sudden I'll start selling houses. Well, whose house are you going to sell? Because everybody knows a real estate agent, everybody and their dog knows a real estate agent. So, and that was the shocker to me when I got my license as well, because I was coming from another profession, from the healthcare profession, and people, had good relationships there. People loved me. And I said, okay, hey, you know what? I've retired from, I was a massage therapist, full disclosure. So I'm retiring from massage therapy, but, I'm going to give you the same level of service and care that I did as a massage therapist now as a real estate agent. And they said, well, that's great. Good luck. Right. I never hear from them again, so it's tough, so I had to really work hard, to find clients, and that's the biggest thing. Right. So, and good luck to anybody getting into this industry, but don't expect it to be easy. Not at all. Not at all.
Outstanding. And honestly, if you guys follow him on Facebook, you can actually see his work ethic. So I wanted to actually tell you, I love your post.
Oh, thank you.
I love your post.
Thank you.
My favorite one is the skeletons climbing up on a house. I said, dying to close this deal.
Yeah. Thanks. You know what? You gotta be. I love humor, right? So. Life's too short to be serious all the time, right? So, joking around, that's part of who I am. It's part of my makeup. So, if you work with me, just be prepared to be bombarded with sarcasm and corny jokes and stuff like that. So.
I love it. I love it. Off the real estate topic, also.
Yeah.
Social media marketing. Did you teach yourself that?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I am, again, my personality is, I like to learn things myself, right? So I like to go out there and YouTube something and learn how to do it, right? So, and YouTube's a great resource for everything. I taught myself how to edit videos just by YouTubing, right? I subscribed to a software, I paid for it, and I said, well, now what I do? I got to learn how to use this thing, right? So I looked at all these tutorials and boom, boom, boom. And so I taught myself how to do that. As far as social media marketing goes, that is something that I actually, I paid for courses, right? So, shameless plug to Krista Mayshore. She runs, I'm not sure if you heard of her or not. She's out of California. She's great social media marketing. She's a real estate agent as well. But she does some great social media marketing, some videos and things like that. And that's what inspired me to start doing these videos and being more active on social media, and especially with COVID now. I used to door knock a lot and I used to call people on the phone. Well, hardly anybody has a home phone anymore, so I can't call anybody. And I don't want to knock on someone's door during a pandemic because I might get the wrong reaction, or I might make people feel uncomfortable, right? And I don't want to do that, and because that's getting off to the wrong foot, right? Yes. So, what else can I do to reach people, especially while everyone's at home? They're all on their computers because they got nothing else to do. Everything's closed. Why don't I hit them with some social media posts and just make myself known? Like, it's not always about listings and say, here, you want to buy, you want to sell, I got something to sell. It's more about being top of mind and earning trust. And so whenever they do think about real estate, they'll say, hey, that real estate agent that always posts those funny, posts and, all that information, that education, maybe I'll give him a call, kind of thing. So that's my hope anyway.
No, I think you do a great job on it. That's why I had to ask. I teach social media marketing as part of one of my courses.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So a lot of the things that I teach, I'm looking through your Facebook page and I'm seeing it. I'm like, hey, this guy's really on it, yeah. I mean, and you don't, like you say, you're not always selling. You have humor in there, and you also have family pictures.
Yes.
That's something that a lot of professionals forget to do.
Yeah.
You want them to know what you do, but you also want them to know who you are. Let them know you're still
bingo. Yeah, bingo. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because no one's going to work with you if they don't know you, like you, and trust you, right? So they say, well, who is this guy, right? He's always in a suit and he's always in front of a house. I don't know anything about him, right? But like you said, if you show family pictures and you show a different side of yourself, it makes you more human and it makes you say, hey, I can relate to this guy, right? Whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So real estate agents notoriously have some of the longest hours ever. And I bring that up because I saw the picture. I think you have three little ones.
Well, they're not mine. They're actually my niece and two nephews. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But I love them to death. So they are my world. I was there last night with them. So I try to see them at least 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah.
Where do you find time for all of that? Like that's my question. Time management.
Yeah.
like,
Well, that's a great question. And I think because I don't have kids, and I'm not married, I do have more time than maybe the average person who has family commitments in that respect, right? But I make time for what's important. And, my family is important to me. Like I said, my niece and nephews are everything to me. So I make time to see them. Right. And I'll block off an evening or I'll block off a weekend or something. And, if somebody wants to go see a house that day, I'm saying, sorry, I have family commitments. Can we do it later on? Or can we do it on Sunday? Or can we do it on whenever, the next day? Right. Kind of thing. So, because that's what it's all about. Right. If you don't spend time or have time for family, like, then what's it all for, right? What's it all for? What am I working for?
Yeah, exactly.
you know,
Yeah, definitely. I
yeah,
couldn't agree more. I could not agree
yeah,
more.
yeah.
Your first sale.
Okay.
Your first sale. What was your what was your how did you feel like after closing that first sale? Like, like what was the first thing you did after you closed the sale?
Gosh, I don't even remember.
I can imagine that being like, I don't know. I imagine that being like a moment that a real
Yeah,
estate agent or a life insurance agent just never forgets. My first life insurance sale, I think
yeah.
I made it was a horrible deal. I think I made $64 off of it, but the way that I acted, you would swear if it was 65 million. Like, I was on
Oh,
top
wow.
of the world.
Wow. Well, I remember how I got my first sale. I just don't remember what I did with it. It was so funny because I was a brand new agent, all green and everything. I didn't know what was going on. So, but somebody in my office was having an open house in a condo, and she was looking for somebody to host that open house. So I said, "Hey, I'll do it. Got nothing else to do. It's a good way to meet people, etc." So she agreed and let me do the open house. And when I'm doing the open house, I mean, people come and go, and this older lady came in from inside the building. She was living on the open house was on the first floor, and she was living up on the I think the 22nd floor or something like that. And we just started chatting. Right, we hit it off. She liked me, and she says, by the way, I'm thinking of selling my unit and buying something smaller, like this one. And I said, no problem. I'd be happy to take a look at your unit and give you an idea of how much you can get for it. She goes, okay, great, come on up. So after the open house, I went up there. She, offered me a coffee. We sat, chat, and we just hit it off, right? And next thing you know, I'm signing the paperwork. Boom, I got my first listing in the condo, helped her sell it, helped her buy something else in the building, not the one that she came to see, but something else. So all of a sudden I got my first 2 sales, and I'm like, wow, this is easy. I love this. I can just go in, do an open house, get a client, 2 sales, boom. So I thought it was so easy. But then after that, boom, I was doing open house after open house after open house, but nothing was happening. So I really got lucky. And the people I spoke to, they said, wow, you really got lucky, because that doesn't always happen at open houses, right? So in that respect, I got lucky. But like you asked, I mean, I after it closed, I don't even know I think I was just paying my bills because I was just so far behind. I think that money went to pay for all my expenses in real estate, because you got to get business cards done, you got to get a whole new wardrobe. I wasn't used to wearing suits. I mean, I had to buy all this stuff, buy new clothing, and buy a car and all this stuff. So it probably just went all to bills and everything. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that too, because I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize, is that being a real estate agent means that you're in business for yourself. So it comes with those expenses. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people think, oh, I work with Remax. That's a big company we have here. I don't know if they're up there in Canada.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're big up here too. Yeah.
Gotcha. A lot of people think, oh yeah, I'm with Remax, so they're gonna take care of me, provide me this and provide me that, and they still have that 9 to 5 mindset. Like, hey, it's 5 o'clock. Why am I not going home? You know. Yeah, they have that mindset, and then they don't realize that no, this is your business. You represent you.
Yeah.
You got them behind you,
That's
but
right.
this is your business. You have expenses. You have to pay. Like you said, I gotta buy a suit. I gotta,
Yeah.
so I'm glad that you brought that up. That's
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
good.
absolutely. Everything, right? So we're self-employed. We're considered self-employed. We're considered independent contractors, right? You got to buy paper, you got to buy a computer, you got to buy a laptop, you got to buy paper clips, right? Pens, whatever, everything down to the wire. And you got to set up a home office if you're working from home. If you're working from the brokerage office, that's fine, but like you said, we work around the clock, right? So if there's a deal going on at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, who wants to be in the office at that time? So you have to set up a home office and work from there as well. So you have to have your computer, you have to have a printer, you have to have ink and whatever. Now we do kind of things online. We do electronic signature, et cetera. So there's less important to print stuff. But I'm kind of old school. I still like to print up the listing. So when I show a house to a client, at least I can present him with some kind of paperwork and say, okay, this is all the information you need on this listing, right? So that way we don't have to scroll through our phones every time we need to answer a question, right?
Outstanding. Outstanding. All right, we're running out of time here.
Okay.
It's been amazing. Do you have any big takeaway for our audience today?
Wow. Well, first of all, it was a pleasure being on your show. Thank you again for inviting me over. All I can say is, just believe in yourself, right? You talked about mindset earlier. Nothing can stop you except yourself. I believe that, right? You got to put in the work. You got to put in the time. You got to learn as much as you can, and if you want to do something, just put your mind to it and do it, right? Don't allow any upper ceiling to just plow right through it and just keep going, right? So, because you can do whatever it is that you want to do if you put your mind to it. I believe that.
Very well said. Very well said. How can the audience get in touch with you? How can they reach you? Social media wise, website wise?
Yeah, absolutely. My website is demosrealestate.ca. So my last name, realestate.ca. YouTube channel as well. You mentioned YouTube, so it's youtube.com/demosrealestate. Facebook, same thing, facebook.com, Demos Real Estate. LinkedIn, I'd love to connect with people on LinkedIn. Instagram, guess what my handle is, Demos Real Estate, right? So if you Google Demos Real Estate, you'll see it, demosrealestate.ca. From my website, there's links to all my social media channels, so you can go there. My phone number is there as well, so I'm on WhatsApp. So if you want to give me a call and you're long distance, not a problem. We can chat over WhatsApp.
Outstanding. Outstanding. I will have all of those links in the descriptions. And you guys, if you're seeing this on YouTube, make sure you check out Net Builders 360 because he's agreed to be on there too, which is outstanding. I'm so grateful for that. So thank you for joining us today, Lambros.
My pleasure. It was my pleasure. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah, and Net Builders, thanks for joining us again for another great episode with amazing value. And we hope to see you on the next episode. You take care.